So, welcome back to another Friday Night Live Q&A, where we try to help each other out with their aquariums, whatever may be going on with them. That's what we're here for. There's a spill every Friday, same time, and that's what we're here for, is to help you guys out with keeping your aquariums, whatever the problems may be. And if I don't know it, we've got an awesome community here that will help us. But hello, everybody in the chat. Glad to see you guys in here. Thomas G, I'll see you around. Sorry you couldn't stay. Thomas G's been here for a long time. Big supporter of the channel. But super excited. Had a awesome weekend. Sorry you guys missed me last Friday night. I actually went to the Aquatic Expo in North Carolina, which was technically in South Carolina, but it was in Charlotte, and I didn't even realize that Charlotte was in both North and South Carolina. But either way, awesome show, great turnout, and loved how it was done because it was more hobbyist driven, more of like what you guys would want to get when you go to these kind of shows and events, and then also get more that you may not realize that you may have wanted as well, like the talks and all the other exhibits and things that they had. But really awesome turnout. Really great show. Hopefully they'll have another one next year. And if you guys didn't make it this year, then hopefully you guys can make it then. But it got me really excited, really ignited, as they always do when I go to these shows. I don't do them that much as I used to. Maybe I'll start doing them more because they really do excite me. And it gets me thinking about my fish room and how I'm gonna organize it and do stuff. You know, you guys are in aquariums. Our minds are always thinking about our aquariums and what we're gonna do next. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can feel me on that. Hello, all you guys coming in. Good to see all you guys in here. And you're welcome, Mario. Um, yeah, just we'll get that out this Wednesday for you. And thanks for the order. Appreciate it. Oh, that reminds me too. Many of you guys were waiting for me to update the website and get things going again. Now that we caught up from like the polar storm and the holidays and got all the orders out, everything's all caught up. We know what we got in stock. Of course, as you guys know that have been following me a long time, I do still hoard a lot of fish. So there's still some I'm sitting on that I haven't added. But that'll come in time for when I want to let go of them. But it is all updated and a lot of goodies for you guys on there. Hello. But what I'm really here for is for your guys' questions. So if you guys have any questions, I know a lot of you guys been following me for a long time and heard a lot of my spill. So I was hoping to do this vertical mode, getting some new people in. But I don't think it's really working. Martel McCoy says, was King of DIY there because he mentioned you in his last video? Yeah, he actually did a tour video of the fish room. And if you guys didn't know, we also did a boxing match called Fins and Fury together where we were the main event, which was awesome. And ever since then, and even kind of before, like we just kind of became brothers and really had some respect for each other, and a real good guy. So hopefully, what I would love to do, and I mentioned it on, I believe, the last Friday night, a couple weeks ago, that I would love to get up to Canada, but definitely in the summer, not in the winter, and check out his aquariums because he's got some awesome aquariums going right now. Oh, Michigan Tropicals, good to see you in here, man. Love to you guys as well. Always good seeing you guys in here. But hope things are going good for you. You can stop by. Yeah, well, if I was going to Canada, I'd be flying. I don't think I would drive all the way to Canada. That would be a haul. I think that would be about, see, 17 hours plus like 12. I don't know. It'd be like 20, 30 hours easy plus. That'd be crazy. Hello. What's What's up, Carrie? Cap13841 says, "What made you decide?" Oh, and Carrie, about those red bristlenose placos. Still think about them. Let me think about them, and I'll let you know. Cap13841, what made you decide to use no filter? So it actually all came from keeping ponds outside. So I was hardcore in aquascaping, flow, filters, all that stuff, to the point where I was keeping tubs outside and I had built this huge canister filter out of a 55-gallon Sterilite tub, which I like drilled a hole in it, put piping on each side. I used like this desk organizer that you could put like papers in that had drawers, and I put my media through there and just drilled holes through it so it kind of just flow through that. And I had it hooked up to like a wishbone pond and four other 55-gallon Sterilite tubs. And that was my filter, like my canister filter for that whole system. And I was keeping it outside. This is when I was just totally fresh to doing it and didn't really understand nature as much at all, as much as I thought I may have. But anyways, that thing quit working on me. I mean, I built an oversized spray bar. I had like a 3 foot spray bar for like a canister filter, holes punched in it. But it quit working on me, and I was like, all right, what am I gonna do? I'm just let things go, and I got to thinking about it, and then as time went by, like all my fish were doing really good. The colors out there were phenomenal, which being outside plays a big role in that. But I started seeing the behaviors being different. I started seeing the breeding be more prolific. And it got me thinking, well, if I could do this out here, why can't I do this inside? And airlines, they splatter a lot. Even if you do cover the bubbles, like they still do splatter around because they don't always stay there. Which I had created a little deli cup, which I drilled a hole through to keep the splatter from going everywhere. But it's just, it can get messy doing that. And then the noise, I had them all on Tetra Whispers. And I don't know, part of me was just like, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And then I started doing that, and I've been doing that for, shoot, 4 or 5 plus years, where I did the whole fish room with no filter. And I started off with like certain tanks and then eventually just like started unplugging them all. But I did always watch my fish. There was a couple times where like I had a whole lot of rainbows and they were kind of like up at the air, or up at the surface trying to get air. Like mine don't do that now. I'm not really sure what that was really about. But at the same time, I was still like touching the surface of like biologically sound water and air. And being in a city, sometimes dechlor and stuff can make them do the same thing, and other impurities, or just maybe too much fish in a tank. Which I don't know. It's kind of weird because I keep a lot of fish in a tank. For instance, when I went to the Aquatic Expo, I just grabbed like 10 pairs of guppies of like a couple um, groups. And, I'm thinking 10 pairs of guppies, that's quite a bit for like a little 10-gallon. But I put them in a 10-gallon and it's like nothing. And I've got a 29, or no, it's only a 20-gallon. It has like, I don't know, I put like 40 rainbow fish in there with 30 plecos. But a lot has to do with like balance. When it comes to keeping a no filter aquarium, a lot has to do with balance as far as like the beneficial bacteria. So, in essence, like you got to balance the clean and the dirty. Like the median, the in between is good. And there's a lot of give and a lot of leeway. So, really, what I like to do about doing the no filters It's just kind of showing people how easy it can be compared to how difficult it could be. Um, and by saying that, like when most people get into the hobby, even me, like it's a big kind of to do to like think about what all goes on to our aquarium and what we should be doing for our fish. And I just want to try to simplify that and just connect people with nature to try to get them that perspective and philosophy to giving our fish what they really need compared to like some sterile environment that's just not really happy and healthy for the fish. Because in these type of ecosystems, like it's so much different for a fish to be able to graze around and eat off the mulm and whatever little microorganisms that may be living in the aquarium. Now, I don't go get microorganisms from like a random pond or anything like that because sometimes you can get stuff that you don't want, but like normal stuff that just kind of pops up in aquarium water, like cyclopods, or I mean, cop- copiopods and cyclops. And there's other like detritus worms, other little this and that. But that's what got me into keeping no filter aquariums for the most part. Just thinking about nature and how nature does it out there. And as a kid, I lived out in the country during the summers, and we had a creek in the backyard, and very often that thing would dry up, and there would just be so many fish living in these little pools of water. I'm thinking to myself, if all those fish can live in those pools of water and still not die because of the lack of like oxygen, it's more or less the lack of water that ends up being their demise, or just not really suitable for them to swim about. Then they start picking at each other, stressing and stuff. Not so much the oxygen. I know, it goes against what all's taught, but it's just how it is. Hippie Zombie says, "How is the smell when a tank with plants and fish have no filter?" It's actually good. Like, there is no smell. Like anybody who's walked into my fish room, you won't have like any smell of anything. It's like just normal, very clean air. Like sometimes you may like get a earthy smell, but if you do get like a sour smell, something's wrong with the tank. I mean, I've even had fish die in the tank just naturally and still not stink up the water. Now, say if you had like shrimp or something that like went to a population boom and then they like crashed out because there was just way too many in there, which they'll do tend to do just like snails, and then they'll kind of find their population zone. Um, Sometimes that can cause like a bacteria bloom that will get a little smell. But yeah, if you have some smell in your aquarium, best thing to do is you want to get more detritus, more dirt in there, like that natural mold, which is the breaking down of microorganisms and or organics by microorganisms. It's this whole like petri of stuff. And if you look into the gut biome of many fish, especially our smaller fish, that's part of a lot of their gut biomes. JP Jeffrey says, "Does leaving the mulm in a fry tank diminish the effectiveness of water changes?" Thanks, Lucas. It doesn't diminish the effectiveness of water changes. It actually, the way to look at this is it helps enhance the reestablishment of biologically sound water when you add that new water in. It helps get it to the point where it's more biologically friendly for your fish. As in essence, like say, think about your water, how there's that biofilm in there. And we know fish have a skin coat, right? And so the biofilm is like soothing to the skin coat of a fish. Now, if that water was like stripped of all that, then it can be more acidic, which or not really acidic, but kind of like sandpapery. I don't really know how to describe it. Kind of like dry water, which just sounds like an oxymoron, but hey, that's the world, that's nature. There's always kind of two sides to things. But I've had it and seen it happen at shows to where I add the fish into like this fresh water and it will just rip away their skin coats. I've had it done on mollies or guppies before. And what I will do is usually I go to the Fritz Safeguard, which is like an artificial slime coat for those fish. So when you're leaving the mulm in your tank, it helps all those natural microorganisms, those that microbiology to help actually reestablish that new water to what it should be. But doing your water changes still gets hormones out of the water column and excess nutrients, which can help reduce your chance of algae and also just get better growth out of your fish too. Hope that answered you. Hippie Zombie says, "What is your favorite freshwater fishes?" I would say tetras, killifish, rasboras, rainbow fish, corydoras, plecos, goldfish, guppies, endlers. God, definitely guppies and endlers. Um, I like some cichlids. I mean, if I could keep bigger tanks, and if I had bigger tanks, I'd probably like a lot more cichlids. They take a lot of space. So for my collectoritis of fish keeping, it's easier for me to stick with the nano kind of fish. Mario Valesco says, "Do you keep your Neolamprologus or the Cotopunctatus with Lucipennis?" Got a 40 breeder. I was thinking Cotos. Lucipennis. I don't know. Probably do all right. I don't know how the breeding would do though. Depends on the Synodontis and where the cichlids are laying their eggs. Sorry, cat's right here. It's distracting me. She needed her pets. So I don't know. I've never actually tried it because I actually prefer an ideal world my Lucipennis in their own tank, which hopefully I plan on doing here soon. I haven't actually tried them together, but I know they're dither fish for like bigger cichlids. So my biggest issue would be just like if you're wanting to breed the Cotopunctatus and get numbers out of them, like those catfish will hunt for food. Asaya Llewellyn says, "Shall we repeat it again? Mulm is magic." You said it, Asaya. It really, really is. Like mulm is what keeps. So, like, say you do have a filter. Like, don't over clean that filter where you get all the mulm out. Like, get most of it out and then leave some of it in there, and your fish tank will just be a lot more happier. Hippie Zombie says so. All of them. Yes, pretty much all the fishes. So hard for me to pick favorites. Charlie Bucket says, "What's your preferred Gardneri killifish egg incubation method?" So with the Gardneri, I mean, peat moss is probably the most like amount of numbers you can get out of the Gardneri. And then if you do them like tank wise, where you're just kind of raising them up, you don't get as many of the numbers. So if you put the time in to collect the eggs, you're going to get more of the Gardneri. But if you want to do it lazily and just get a few of them, you can actually just tank breed them. Ben Fuller says, and what I'll do if I want to tank breed them is I'll put in a bunch of plants and then I'll let them just do their thing, separate them for like 2 weeks, throw them in there for like a week or maybe even just a few days. Usually you can see when they scatter eggs and just pull them out, and then you just got to wait, which means that tank's going to sit there for probably like a month, I think, or plus. Can't remember what the just or the period is. Michigan Tropicals LLC says, "Do you have pea bass? Oh, peacock bass in your ponds? No, I don't. I do not. Too far north. Yeah, would be wild if I did though. Some big largemouth though, huge." Ben Fuller says, "Round figure. How many fish have you got right now?" Oh my god. I would say probably over 1,000, easily. Easily, probably over 1,000. I've got a ton of fish, and one thing you guys realize, I haven't like bought any fish for a long time. Kind of been itching for that. I don't really have places to put them. You guys know how it is. Always want new fish. I did get a pair of Wanamensis, Glossolepis Wanamensis from the event, which I didn't plan on going home with them, but they didn't sell for the guy, and he knew me. It was a Small World Aquatics, and he knew I would appreciate him, give him a good home. So now I do have those here with me, which should sum up my rainbow fish collection because I just only have so much space for them. Like how I'll one day we'll get to that barn and we'll just get like some like more tanks where we can just do a lot more because more. Victor 74 says, "What pH do you keep your African cichlids in?" So I do not test pH, Victor. I actually think about my water a little differently than most people. So the pH, hear me out, reads per hydrogen. So a lot of the testing of pH the reading depends on the amount of oxygen or atmospheric gases in your aquarium. So if you're running a sponge filter, if you're running a filter, um, or airline, definitely the most out of all of them produces a higher pH. So that's why you can test your water in some places and it will come out with like a low stable pH, and then it will spike up after you put it in the aquarium because of all those bubbles you put in there, because it's reading the hydrogen molecules. And this is what when I do videos like this, when I talk about this, I know there's a lot of people who just really stick with their pH, but what I test instead is TDS. Now, considering TDS, anything over 200 is alkaline, anything under is more acidic. Now, my water is 170 TDS, but due to where I'm at geologically, I know that there's still a lot of mineralization in my water. So, although it's slightly acidic, there's a lot of mineralization in there. And that's mostly due to rain. It's soft. And the lime rock breaks down with that soft water. So I've kind of got like this soft, hard water. And it will actually still create scaling, even though it's underneath the 200. But as time goes down, or time goes by, it can actually break down that scaling over time. So to combat that with my slightly softer water, I will actually put some chunks of my lime rock from my yard, which like some people use Texas Holy Rock or any of those calcified types of rocks that you can get that like remineralize your water, like argonite, crushed coral, stuff like that, that helps buffer that. And that's how I keep my African cichlids, mostly Tanganicans. Lots of Tanganicans. Janice Lundberg says, "How often do you do water changes or set the auto to do it?" I wish I had auto. Well, not really, because there's control reasons why I don't want auto, and many other reasons. Like if things go wrong with it, it leaks, floods, blah blah blah. Like I don't want to find that someday. I at least have like more control with my water system. Still working on getting the pumps for my fish room back up and running because I got the cheap Beaver ones, and they just didn't last long. But how often I change the water was really whenever I can. Not very often. I wish I could do it more often than I do, but I get to it when I get to it. Da-da-da. But in an ideal world, I would do every other week, about 50% or 30%. I wouldn't try to over change my water. You want to balance. It's all about balance. Quoti or Quack T Ho says, "Who's the plug for Tanzanican Achilles?" I don't know. That's a good question. Are you talking about like the Procatopus type Achilles? Hippie Zombie says, "What was your first ever fish?" My first ever fish. I if I ever got a fish with my dad for his aquarium, like I don't know if I really remember it. And then I caught like a bunch of fish from the creek as a kid growing up, throwing them in like a spare tank my dad had, which were like little bullheads, minnows, and stuff like that. And then I finally got my first own tank that was actually mine in my room when I was like in high school. It was, I think, like sophomore year or something. Then I actually had rummy nose in there, but they were like hardy rummy nose. I don't know if they were the false rummy nose or what, but that was mine. But like the first fish I bred, and when I got back into aquariums after like college and stuff, because I had to get rid of it, just trying to like live life as a single dude, going to work and college full time. Didn't really have time for aquarium, but when I got back into it, I started off with tetras and then started breeding these blue galars and learned to put plants in. And that was when it was over for me. Running water says probably easier to list least favorite. And really, there's only like, I think there's only like one fish that's on that list. Or, well, I don't know. If I got into monster fish, there's probably some. But Chinese algae eater, God. The one I had was such a pain in my butt. Hey, hey, Lisa, good to see you in here. Lisa KG Tropicals in the house. Hope you all are doing good. Good to see you in here. And everybody else coming in too. Gardaki's Playground says, "Anyone else baking cookies?" All right. I think I'm on live chat. Oh no, I'm in top chat. Jay Oliver's Jay Oliver's Guppies and Aquatics. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I wanted to make sure I got your name right when I was saying it, not all twisted up. Since you did super chat to $10, but bro, glad to see you in here and thank you so much for the support. Says you guys are the best. Always enjoying seeing you guys. You too, man. You just always a upbeat guy, always positive. Absolutely love it. And thank you so much for the support. And it was really awesome to see how far Jay Oliver has come in this hobby. And doing what he does. I remember just when I first met him, really thinking about getting into it, and boy, he really did. I love to see people do what they love. Another reason why I do what I do. So when I was a kid, and it's kind of roundabout, and it's really wild. As a kid, like, my goal was to help people like live their dreams. I always told myself if I had so much money, blah blah blah, didn't know what to do with it, like my main mission and job would just be trying to help people be able to live their dreams because I know what it is to like struggle with like the knowledge of your dreams and have passion for something and not being able to do it for like the longest time. And luckily, I just grinded and worked my way up. But to be able to like help people get a foot up on like living their dreams, and even if it is in like the just like perspective of things, not so much monetary, but to just be able to help motivate people to live their dreams is just always been a dream of mine. So, because the more people that do, the better off for humanity, our consciousness, our collective as a whole. And it's kind of wild because you just never know where life will take you. Mac Markowitz, I never would have never ever guessed I would be doing this at all. Mac Markowitz says, "Have any experience with hill stream loaches?" So I do. I actually have some breeding videos. If you type in LRB hill stream loaches, actually kept them with no filters, rock piles, high protein diet, and they would just community breed for me. I need to get some more of them again, actually. Set up another tank. All right, let me get into top comments or actual all messages because it's just got me in top. Because I tend to miss things when I do that. So if I miss any of your guys' questions as we have been going by, I'm sorry. YouTube does not give them all to me all the time. All right, Ben Fuller says, "Have you ever experimented with soda water for CO2? Is it even a thing?" So, not actually soda water, but what we used to do was like a yeast mixture to where we would get like a 2-liter bottle, put yeast in it, and then it would create like CO2 for us. The only issue with that is if you're going to use CO2, especially for the real nice aquascape tanks, you got to have it balanced. Saying that, the CO2 that comes out of those little DIY um, yeast kits or whatnot that people do, um, there's no like consistency as far as the amount of CO2 it keeps in your tank. So there's lots of swings and fluctuations to what's actually going on with the water that could actually cause more problems for you. And it's usually just algae problems. And so I started doing the pressurized just because it's that even, straight, like balanced amount of CO2 that you really need. Like you want to kind of keep it the same. And with the DIY ones, it's hard to do that. Korean Cardboard says, "Have you ever found plants outside that do well in an aquarium?" So I have actually. Last year, we did a video about the easiest aquascape, and I literally took slices of the sod by my ponds and stuck them in an aquarium. And literally, it was so beautiful and so easy. Like all the plants just grew up and out. Looks kind of rough now because I never did any maintenance to it. There's still a lot of grasses and a lot of those plants growing. It's just all compact. There's no way fish would be in there. I didn't ever put fish in there for that reason because I knew was what was going to happen to that because I didn't have time to maintain the aquascape of it. When you're keeping in just a couple tanks, it's a lot easier to keep the aquascapes of things, but right now that's not like my focus. But anyways, awesome video. If you haven't seen it, literally took a shovel, soldered out that grass, and created some really cool aquascape out of it. Randy Coach says, "Hey Lucas, I purchased a few pairs of white lace snakeskin guppies from you a little while back, which you say is a steady lineage. Anyways, I'm not mad, just curious what the random gold babies are." So that's what they do. They will throw little random gold babies, like mine does it too. So I mean, it should still come out. I don't know if it's like a male and female thing, but yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah, I think it's a male and female thing. Or all of a sudden they're just throwing a mutation, which I don't think they are. But I mean, that's how my babies are too. But scrolling. Sunset Jen, always good to see you in here. Says, "Hey Lucas, I bought two juvie German blue rams, separated them due to quarantine aggression. Now the larger boy turns out to be female and full of eggs. Will she lay the eggs okay on her own?" She probably won't lay the eggs on her own, but reason why you could have had that aggression was maybe it was just their mating behavior. It is like a pesto. It is a cichlid. They can be a little aggressive breeding sometimes. So you can maybe try putting them together and then see if they actually do what they need to. But just keep an eye on them. Sometimes you got to do that with them. Even some of the most peaceful fish, even when it comes to breeding, it can get a little wild for them. Not like they get instructional videos. They just go off of hormones. Bugsy Craft Works says, "What is the most difficult fish to keep in your opinion?" Hmm. Most difficult to keep. I would say a discus, just for the pure fact that they really do like hot water. I mean, they can tolerate like temperate water and do well, but they do prefer hot water, which just creates a hot room. So for me, it would just be the difficulty of trying to sweat out the heat that that tank takes. Besides that, nature really does most of the work, so it makes it easy. Not really one harder than the other. It's as hard as you make it. There's a lot of philosophies within aquarium keeping and just life. But it is literally as hard as you make it, or as easy. Mhm. All right, bottom of the chat. If you're there, that's where I'm at. And if you got questions, I'm gonna answer them. If not, I don't know. I may skedaddle because I haven't even had dinner yet. I don't mind making it short and sweet. Woo! Wild hair. Jeez. But all right, I'm not seeing any questions. You guys got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I guess I teach you guys pretty well. Glad you guys know what you're doing. And either way, we'll be back here next Friday. And I got to get some videos out for you guys. What's the average life cycle on one of your tanks? You know what? They've lasted me as long as I've needed them and had them. So, you know, I don't know yet because a lot of them are still around. And hello, Michelle. I appreciate it. It says you guys have a great weekend. You too, Michelle. Thank you so much for the support as well, for being a member. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Till next time, everybody. Peace. Dun 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 dun. Oh, we so got to tour this at some point. You guys see the fish tanks? Oh, those fish tanks are looking sweet too. We got to get in those. Later.